This is the original factory that he bought from the government.
Oh, okay.
Where his laboratory had been during the war. Well, it still has some utilitarian value, I see.
Well,
You're storing stuff.
well, this is maintenance, and
This was the old office area. We had corners in here for two tip joins at one time. Still have. This is the original structure.
My turn.
old superheader dynamics radio receiver, and a colleague of mine in Tocopilla, Chile, loaned me a horn. It was about in the box, about 12 cubical case surrounding a thing like this. And I drove that with an amplifier, a quote power amplifier of 7/10 of a watt. And that was adequate for a small living room, right? Later on, somebody loaned me a much improved speaker, somewhat like this. And my 7/10 of a watt amplifier wouldn't even make it squeak. I put a 5-watt amplifier and it still didn't have enough. I said, lesson one,
What did you just learn?
horns are more efficient.
Okay, that was one of the early discoveries that horns beat the enclosures, huh? For reflexes. Now this looks like back at Dad's store in Ladysmith, the music shop. But this is that an Edison record?
That is an Edison record, and it's an Edison phonograph.
And the needle goes up and down. It's a hill and valley groove, not a side to side. And we used to have a bassoon thing, a record that played an excellent bassoon. And this, when was that record made? 1915?
The Elephant and the Fly was a recording of the bassoon and a piccolo.
Okay, well, I've heard this many times, but it's worth probably recording, I would guess. You're going to take some of the surface noise away from it, okay? Is it thoroughly cranked up? So it won't run down in the middle of the record?
It has volume control. Plumber's friend. Now the horn can't reproduce below about 400 hertz. And the fundamental pitch of the bassoon is about 60. So the best that the machine can do is the seventh harmonic of the
Seventh harmonic up
from 60.
It's 400.
60.
Oh, what's this? That's nifty.
out of the range of the phonograph firm. I think the phonograph went up to about 4,000. Probably was around 5,000.
Okay. What is the range we actually are hearing here?
From 400 to 4,000.
400 to 4,000. And the record was made in 1915?
My mother bought that machine new in 1923,
Okay.
and these records were available
Early,
at that time.
okay, early 20s. You've got a remarkably long recording thing with this Golden Valley here. This is running over 3 minutes.
Well, that was excellent.
How about that? Shades of 1920s. There we go.
There's a neat old phonograph there with that flowered bell.
Oh, yeah.
It's like an old Victor machine. It's-
No, that's an old Edison cylinder.
Cylinder, yeah.
It played cylinders.
Oh, okay.
That was your record in the teens, and Edison came out with it. Hell, that record's a quarter of an inch thick. The Prisoner's Song by Vernon Dallard. Oh, we had that in the store. One of the very first records I remember listening to.
All right, and let's just, what else have we got in here that's worthy
This
of
looks like
note?
a corner of Lane's music shop back in 1925. Aren't they, Victor?
I can't play it because the head is, the reproducer cartridge is gone, which I'm trying to replace, and that's impossible.
This was a pretty nice looking piece of furniture.
Now, you notice this horn is much larger than the horn in the Edison.
Yeah,
The Edison would go down to 400 hertz, this would go down to 100 hertz.
100.
And this was reported to be good from 100 to 5,000.
Well, that, and whenever this was, and I bet that was probably about 1926 or 7.
1926.
Oh, see, I came pretty close.
That was described in Electrical Engineering, the publication of the Institute of Electrical, American Institute of Electrical Engineers in 1926. Bell Telephone Laboratories developed it for.
Well, I'll bet Dad sold several of these.
Yeah. Anyway, Victrola got a license under the development of patents, and some other phonograph manufacturer got rights also.
Of course, this originally had grill cloth across it. You didn't get to look in at the guts of the thing. All right. What are those big old horns from the theaters? Well,
I'll just follow you guys in here. This
Various
is,
Klipsch horns, yeah, we'll do the various Klipsch horns before we get out, sort of
Yeah.
walk around, we got 4 of them there, haven't we?
yeah.
Let's look at these big old things in here.
Oh,
We got
okay.
any more light than this, Paul?
Oh, this is not too bad. And that's even better. Boy, that's a big old,
Okay, what is this? Theater horn, Western Electric. The extreme length of this horn, combined with its large mouth area, contributed to good bass performance and high efficiency. Undoubtedly, it was used in large theaters circa 1930. We're getting some kind of an echo. I guess I'm getting it out of this hollow, ain't I?
It's room, it's live.
Oh, live room.
now that thing, apparently you can play it or something.
Oh, you added this.
Well, this was added later, that's a tuba mouthpiece, and we had a piece of pipe, slightly graduated in size. It doesn't couple properly, but, at least, we can demonstrate that this would make a fair tuba if you could carry it. I can't play a scale on it.
Now I'll try. Back to the low note. Nice low sound. Nice low sound. That's a double barrel sort of thing over there. Get the curl on this thing, Bob, the way they wound it
Yeah,
up.
I did that just before we
Okay,
started
got
that.
Got that.
We got some curl on this thing, only as you said, it's got a double-sided. All right. There's some pretty big speakers.
And this is the thing you said weighed 500 pounds? I can't even budge it.
Transporting that down here from wherever it was stored.
You hooked a crane into it, I'm sure.
And you notice it's been damaged as a result of
What a venerable old
various
various
trips.
paper cone, huh?
That would, it could be buried in a kind of a pit facing up against the bottom of a sphere supported on legs. And it formed sort of an exponentially shaped horn. And it could give you very high efficiency at extreme bass ranges.
Okay, now how extreme is the bass range on that thing?
Or, we presume it go down to about 40.
40, that's acceptable. I would say.
This is a general, not general, what is it?
Was removed from the Santa Theater, no parking set up.
Yeah,
RCA,
Radio Corporation of America
okay, which the parent.
was in the business of making, well, radios,
Yeah.
but radios and phonographs. And they
Big
also
phonographs.
got in the theater business, and this was built for the Sanger Theater here in Hope,
Okay.
where it was installed in 1930, and it came out of there in 1980, which is making 50
You
years.
got your hands on an 80.
It was 50 years of use. And we wired it up and ran it. Of course, it takes a lot of extra power to do that. Those are field coil magnets.
Uh-huh.
Well, there are two 15-inch drivers in the base and two compression drivers up here in the treble system. And they each had its field coil to...
For an electromagnet, not a permanent magnet.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had to have a direct current source to
Okay.
feed the...
But you made it work.
Oh yeah, we made it work, and we couldn't measure it in the anechoic chamber because we couldn't get it in through the rotatable door, but we measured it outdoors. It goes down to about 50 hertz.
Really?
With about 20% efficiency.
How much?
20.
20? Okay.
We claimed 10% for a Klipsch horn, and 1% for typical direct radiators. And we've measured some direct radiators with efficiency of 0.03%
No fool.
efficiency.
0.03, I don't know.
Percent.
Percent,
That's
yeah.
1 part in 3,000.
Mhm.
Well, the thing is that what I learned about horns in South America was that they're more efficient. And later I learned that the distortion is
Inversely proportional.
inversely proportional to efficiency. So you could say that quality is directly proportional to efficiency.
And be safe that you said something that's correct. Well, I guess I've known that since you told me that, maybe 30 years ago, I probably got that indoctrination first. And what is this strange thing? It's gonna
That's
be
a Western Electric Theater athletic event paging car.
Okay.
It's connected, same kind of driver up here as is attached to the where we had mouthpiece attached to this thing here. Here's a driver that was fitted, and here's a field coil terminals and the voice coil terminals. It takes 5 volts at 1 ampere to excite the field.
Okay.
Let's go look at these other Klipsch horns through the years. I think this is extremely interesting.
All right, we'll just wander on in here. Get my back to the
Here, this,
window
there's
wall.
a Klipsch horn that's been opened up. And you can
Cutaway.
Cutaway Klipsch horn, there you go. Original price on this was $636. They purchased it back from the original owner.
And there are various other ones. They got 4 of them back to back here.
Moving 360 degrees here.
Oh, I like the, Paul, you'll have to explain this plastic Klipsch horn.
Let's start over.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Oh, yeah, let's do
That's a
that.
good place to start.
This was my first successful corner horn speaker. I made it with a handsaw in 1942. The high frequency horn that I used at the proving ground was, well, it was an unsuccessful thing. This I developed in 1945 while I was still in the military service.
Mm-hmm.
I separated from active military duty on Christmas Day, 1945.
Really?
The young lieutenant that was managing my separation papers endorsed the document I'd filed with him to the effect that I didn't want a job up going to manufacture loudspeakers after the war. And he said, above named officer has no previous experience in this proposed enterprise.
Okay.
Well, if I'd had previous experience, I probably wouldn't have gotten into the business.
So the young officer, or the young lieutenant, was smarter than he thought he was. He said a more profound observation than it appear on the surface.
Well, anyway, from here,
There we go.
we evolved this format. Later this. The problem of getting a shape like this that will be acceptable to the lady of the house was always a problem. Back in 1835, when the first steam locomotive was introduced in the United States, it was a ugly, noisy thing, and people said, "Oh, what a horrible thing to have happen to the world. Can't you make it into something that looks like a cow?" Well, I guess they did, but it wasn't a very successful work of art. the work of art. Behind you, there is an attempt at a work of art. That's a box that covers the Klipsch horn and hides all of its ugliness and all of its virtues also.
Yeah, it just sits there making it a nice big piece of furniture that has ruined the original purpose of the Klipsch.
The thing is that there's acoustical cavities between the functional box and the decorated box that ruin the performance.
I really admittedly don't recall ever having seen this before.
Well, you haven't missed anything. That was made by if you look, crawl around the side and look behind it, you'll see that it's a Klipsch horn inside. And the fact that you can see it means that you can't hear it.
There it is. Mm-hmm.
Well, whoever made that decorated box made it look like a cow, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I see what, okay, get the point. Well, I happen to think it's a decent looking thing, a Klipsch horn. I don't find anything aesthetically offensive about it at all.
Well, it took a long time to gain acceptance.
Well, the size, of course, it's a little 4-room Cape Cod bungalows. Couldn't use 2 Klipsch horns very easily.
A man who went around the country making telephone catalogs lived in a trailer house, and he bought a Klipsch horn
For a trailer.
And I was telling somebody about that later. They said, "Oh yeah, he mentioned the man's name. He's had two Klipsch horns in there for stereo now, wall-to-wall speakers."
In a trailer.
An artist came by here wanting to build 2 of these, one for us and one for himself. Well, I bought the idea, but we spent 1,300 man-hours making this, helping him with his. Well, we cut the parts with a buzzsaw with the same jigs and fixtures that we use for cutting wooden parts. But all the parts have to be so damned accurate, infernally accurate. This thing's got to be acoustically airtight. Well, of course, the joints are cemented, but as I said, we spent 1,300 man hours making it, and he said, "Well, that's enough. I'll take a wooden for my efforts."
But this one really works, it really functions.
It works. And we have
Does it pass the Klipsch horn tests?
Second.
The quality test, would it meet?
Oh yeah, you can't tell from the wood.
You can't, okay.
Measurements and listening tests. But the thing is, we can see the diaphragm when it moves.
Yeah.
And we've got a scale there that so they measure the movement. And there's a rectangular dot painted on the back of the cone, which expands into a hexagon when it vibrates.
Oh, okay, gotcha. A
And,
hexagon.
We can measure the peak to peak motion with a scale there and find out how far the cone moves. Well, down that diaphragm and a direct radiator, let's establish some standards. We're going to radiate 50 hertz, 100 decibels sound pressure level,
Right.
At 1 meter with 1 watt power. And to do that in a direct radiator, the diaphragm has to move about 3/4 of an inch. Call it 20 millimeters. In the horn, to do the same thing, has to move about 1 millimeter.
20 to 1.
All right.
That's worthwhile. That's worth several dollars right there, Paul, 20 to 1. The days of vacuum tubes.
This is a 10-watt Brook amplifier with its preamplifier. And in spite of all the filtering and everything else they could do with it, it had a little bit of hum left in it. But a 10-watt amplifier would drive a Klipsch horn at intensely high sound pressure levels. Deafening.
For years, I had a little Bell 10-watt amplifier. I got them from, not Radio Shack or its predecessor, No, it wasn't Radio Shack. It was
Heath?
no, a Billy Heath kit went somewhere down the line too. And that's what I used to drive those stolen short horns that I made from your plant.
Which looks like this one over here, right?
Which looks like more like that one right here, the Rebel.
Oh,
Which
okay.
the Rebel was a sort of was a version of the Shorthorn. It's got the tune slot in back.
All right. All right, well. I guess we can fade out from this. Do we have any final comments, parting comments here that we need to?
Yeah, what would you
Back
say?
in 1952, I bought a Stinson airplane, which had 2 seats in the front, one for the driver and one for his co-pilot. And in the back we had 2 kind of hammock-like seats with space between the armrests about, I think 36 inches or 35, something like that. And I was trying to reintroduce Bell Telephone Laboratories' teaching of stereo, using 2 speakers instead of 1. Well, most of my dealers had 1 Klipsch horn. So I built a speaker. This would lie on its back between armrests in the Stinson airplane. And I'd carry a pair of amplifiers that bolted together that would play stereo material and a stereo tape playback. And the Rebel 4, the Rebel was 36 inches high. This is about 32 inches, I think. Just barely get into the in between the armrest and the back seat.
And you travel around with that when you were doing early stereo before they made stereo amplifiers. So you bolted together 2 mono amplifiers and drove that and the Klipsch horn.
And I got a letter from, I had a part-time dealer in Los Angeles who made his living as a airport tower operator. And he wrote me a letter, and I've forgotten exactly the words he used, but they were not polite. He said, 1 Klipsch horn, it's hard enough to sell 1 Klipsch horn, and now for stereo you want me to sell 2. Well, a lot of dealers did it.
And still are, might be added. This is history here, Paul. This is history.
Well, I like the old X5 over here. That's hands-on. Almost sounds like an aircraft, the X5.
It does, doesn't it?
Extra experimental, 5 for the 5th one I made.
Oh, okay.
Well,
All right, well, I think we'll fade in.
already.
Let's see, we'll fade out on. Old Klipsch and Associates.
No, the corporate offices.
Through?
Yep. All right.
Friends.
Yeah.
Okay, we can push on.
Yeah, we can just kind of cruise along.
at a